I usually create videos that are focused on talking to aspiring cabin crew because I feel like it's a very exotic lifestyle and a lot of people want to know what it's like. And, especially if they're feeling like they want to apply for the job, I kind of like to tell them what they're going to experience, at least from my point of view, how I lived it, because it was an incredible experience. And, I kind of want to tell them the good, the bad, and the ugly. But today I want to talk to my fellow crew, ex-crew, who may be thinking of leaving or already left, and even to the ones aspiring to be crew, I want to tell you what life is like after flying. Are you ready? Let's go. So I flew for Emirates for 10 years. And one of the things I can remember from when my last few years of flying, especially my last year of flying, is that I was very scared about what was to come after Emirates. First of all, let me tell you, I am one of those people who is extremely grateful about their experience with Emirates, because to me, it just taught me, who I am. And I always say that if you can experience being cabin crew, if you can go for the interview and try to get the job, do it, because it's honestly a once in a lifetime experience and it will change you for the better. That being said, it's important that you know what you're signing up for. That's why I always make a point of telling people, what my life was really like, because I think it's very easy to romanticize the idea of, waking up in New York and having breakfast in Paris and, and then having dinner in Tokyo. Like, it's very romantic, it's very beautiful, but at the end of the day, it's still a job and it's got good and bad things like any job. Before I tell you what life was like after Emirates, I'll tell you what it was like before leaving. I was very scared. I didn't know what life was going to look like after flying. And I think it was mainly because I thought that this was like the best job I was going to get. And, I wasn't going to get another opportunity like this. And I kind of feel like they walk you down that path. They make you feel like this is the best job that you're going to get. And so many people are applying for the job. And, you were one of the chosen ones. So you're the shit. I'm sure you've heard this speech at training college if you fly with Emirates or you flew with Emirates, because you are lucky. And it is true. A lot of people want to join Emirates, but there's also a lot of reasons why they hired you. And it's probably because of your personality, and because, you're a people's person, you're a great public speaker, you're lovely. I'm sure there are so many reasons why you were chosen. But towards the end, I felt burnt out. When you're burnt out, you really don't care about your job anymore. You go, you do what you're supposed to do, and you get out. I was fed up with how I felt like I was being treated. I had a few situations on board that were not nice. One of them was a death on board, which was super traumatic because, it was a baby. It was really bad. And I felt like, it wasn't handled in the best way by my manager, who's no longer at Emirates, thank goodness, but she wasn't the best. We also had a few situations that were safety related, and I kind of I didn't feel unsafe at any point, because if there's something that I've always felt with Emirates in regards to the aircraft, is safe, because I know their procedures like the back of my hand, and I know that they follow them super strictly, so that is nothing like that. But I do feel like, not safety, I feel like I kind of like the way they handled people and how tired we were and how much they overworked us, kind of like tiptoed around the, fine line of, is this safe or is this not safe? So I kind of felt like not taken advantage of, but kind of taken advantage of. And that was on me because I decided to stay. So when you decide to stay, the responsibility is yours. And I knew that, right? I knew that I had chosen to stay. I knew what the rules of the game were. And I knew. That being said, I was ready to leave. I was ready to go. And then I was giving a 1-year contract because I had too many sick days. I was over them by a bit. It wasn't crazy. I hadn't been in the hospital or anything, but I had been genuinely sick that year for a couple of times. And it was too many incidents for what they liked, which fair enough. It's their business. And people can run their business in whatever way they want to. But that just added for me to say, okay, that's it. I need to get out of here. I started therapy to kind of like be able to go through the process because I kind of had a feeling that I was going to leave on my 10-year mark. Fast forward, the pandemic happened, and we all know what happened after that. Many of us were laid off. But yeah, I started my process then. Now, what happened after? When I left Emirates, I was still lost, but I was certain that it was my time. I was certain that there was something better out there. I just didn't know what it was. But what really surprised me and what really shocked me was that, how much life was different outside of Dubai, outside of Emirates, because, you fly all over the world, but you're still living in Dubai, which is kind of like a bubble in itself. Mind you, I freaking love Dubai. It's one of my favorite places in the world. It's awesome. But yeah, it is kind of like a bubble where, you're kind of like cozy in there. They help you out. They make you feel comfortable. Emiratis are awesome. They're super chilled and they're happy that you're there. But it is kind of like a bubble. So when you get out to the real world, it's kind of shocking, right? Especially when you've been there for 10 years. It's a lot. But mostly the job market is also crazy after 10 years of not being there. And there were lots of things going on after I left. But what was most shocking for me, and if you're an ex-crew and you found this way, you could just please tell me and leave a comment because I love to connect with other people. But what was most shocking was that I did not know who I was. I had no idea who I was. If I wasn't cabin crew, if I wasn't traveling the world, on an aircraft for most of my time, who the hell was I? That was really shocking to me. That was really upsetting because it was a huge part of my identity. And it was because, Emirates makes it a huge part of your identity. And because I made it a huge part of my identity, and also because your life revolves around work, because everyone is always waiting for, the mid-end of the month until rosters come out to see what they're going to do with their lives, to plan their life around their roster. And like all of a sudden you're like out of there. A lot of people live in crew accommodations. So, if you're not working for Emirates, you need to live somewhere else. Or, your visa is of course attached to your employment. So if you're no longer working with Emirates, you either get another job in Dubai or you gotta go. You can't just live there. So the hardest part about life after Emirates to me was that kind of like loss of identity. And trust me, I worked super hard to get to where I am today, which is a place of mental peace and, having rebuilt myself as a completely different person. But it's not easy. And I know that a lot of current crew and even some of ex-crew usually see someone, making videos about their experience with Emirates, because a lot of us do make these videos. And they say, oh, what does she know? She's not here anymore. Why is she even talking about Emirates anymore? And I was one of those people. That's why I say this. But, if you eventually leave, you will probably be able to understand this afterwards, which is Emirates is part of who I was. It's part of my story. And if I make a video where I'm talking about who I am, or I'm just like, telling a story or talking about, stuff I love, or even traveling, being cabin crew is a huge part of that, a huge part of me. So if I don't talk about Emirates and my experience, it's like I'm not even being honest. I'm not being genuine with, the type of content that I put out. And not all of us who leave Emirates create content, just a few of us do. I mean, I started with traveling content and the occasional Emirates video, and now I'm making a few Emirates videos, and sometime it will stop. But I feel like it's a huge part of me that I like to share, mostly because I see that a lot of people really want to become cabin crew. And just because I know how much being cabin crew meant to me, I want to help others be able to have that experience too. But yeah, loss of identity was a huge thing of my life after Emirates. Eventually, after working a lot on myself, which, I got a therapist for that. I, read a lot of self-help books. I did courses. I did all sorts of different things. I changed my career path. A lot of people continue in aviation and continue flying. It wasn't my path. I felt like I was done with that part of my life, but I changed careers completely. I started working in digital marketing. I have my own business where I work with different clients from all over the world. And now I'm doing this, which I truly love too, just to see where it goes. And I travel quite a lot. See, traveling is still a huge part of my life, and I share about what I see when I travel. So all considered, I can say that life after Emirates is pretty sweet. And not because I'm not there anymore. And that's kind of what I want to leave you with. I don't hate Emirates like I used to hate it when I worked there. I feel like, not hated, but I felt like I felt very resentful about working there because the job was just so hard, so tiring. And I was just so overwhelmed and burnt out that I felt like I just didn't want to do it anymore. And that kind of like built up to hate. So instead of leaving when it was the right time, I overstayed. That's why I felt like that. But life after Emirates is as good as you make it. And if you learn how to use the experiences that you've learned there to, create a beautiful life after, then you will have a beautiful life. And it is going to be tiring, and you're going to feel like you're lost and like you've lost your identity. Like with any career change, it's hard when, a huge part of you dies because, who are you after that? But you will recover and you will feel better and you will find your passion and or another job that, fills you. That job can also be being a mom. I've seen a lot of people doing that and they are in love with their new job. And I think that is amazing. I've seen a lot of people going, like I said, the content creation path. I've seen a lot of people going the real estate path and building these huge businesses. And what I see in common with all these different things that people are doing, they're all using the skills and the stuff that they learned when they were cabin crew. So if I have to leave you with any final thought, it would be this: enjoy your time there. Have fun. Take lots of photos and lots of videos too. You're going to look back and you're going to say, what an amazing life I had. And you're going to show your photos and your videos to your children, your grandchildren, and aviation is going to be part of them and their story too, because it was part of your own story. I felt like doing this video, which is kind of like, telling you a little bit about my story and how I felt. And I hope you liked it. And I will see you next time.